Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yashodanandana Brajajanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Himandi, Jain Shukar Paramahamsa, Pri Radhikacharya Stotra Satya, Sri Simad, His Divine Grace, Hiraboy Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami, Sri Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Skandi Viti, Founder Acharyas, Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Hari Nama Sankirtan Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Jaini Tagore Kimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksuramiritam Jaina Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Scha Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamandi Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tirubhyasya Sindhu Vyayavasa Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Ram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the Supremost Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Tamashloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Anyam Swasya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We are continuing chapter 18, Canto number 11, chapter entitled A Description of Varnashrama Dharma. Today we're reading from text 17. Mona Aniha Anila Ayamaha Danda Vag Deha Chetasam Na Hi Ete Yasya Santi Anga Venubhir Na bhaved yatihi. Monaniha nilayama randa bhag deha chetasam nahite yasya santyanga venubhir na bhavet yati. Monaniha nilayama danda bhagadeha chetasam nahite yasya santyanga venubhir na bhavet yatihi. Monaniha nilayama danda bhagadeha chetasam nahite yasya santyanga venubhir na bhavet yatihi.
Maunaniha nilayama
danda bhagdeha chetasam nahite yasya santyanga venubhir na bhavet yatihi.
Maunaniha nilayama
danda bhagdeha chetasam nahite yasya santyanga venubhir na bhavet yatihi. Mona, avoiding useless speech. Aniha, giving up fruitive activities. Anila ayama, controlling the breathing process. Dandaha, strict disciplines. Vak, of the voice. Deha, of the body. Chetasam, of the mind. Na, not. He, indeed. Ete, these disciplines. Yasya, of whom. Santi, exist. Anga, my dear Uddhava. Venubihi, by bamboo rods. Na, never. Bhavet, is. Yatihi, a real sannyasi. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. One who has not accepted the three internal disciplines of avoiding useless speech, avoiding useless activities, and controlling the life air, can never be considered a sannyasi merely because of his carrying bamboo rods. Kindly repeat after me. One who has not accepted the three internal disciplines of avoiding useless speech, avoiding useless activities, and controlling the life air, can never be considered a sannyasi merely because of his carrying bamboo rods. Purport. The word danda indicates the staff carried by those in the renounced order of life. And danda also indicates severe discipline. The Vaishnava sannyasis accept a staff made of 3 bamboo rods, signifying dedication of the body, mind, and words to the service of the Supreme Lord. Here, Lord Krishna says that one must first accept these 3 dandas, or disciplines, namely control of the voice, body, and mind within oneself. The practice of anilayama or pranayama, regulating the life air, is meant to control the mind, and one who always thinks of service to Lord Krishna has certainly achieved the perfection of pranayama. Merely carrying the three external dandas without assimilating the internal dandas of bodily, mental, and vocal discipline can never make one an actual Vaishnava sannyasi, as explained here by Lord Krishna. In the Hamsa Gita section of Mahabharata and in Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita, there are instructions regarding the sannyas order of life. A conditioned soul who adopts only the external ornaments of Tridandi sannyas will not actually be able to control the senses. One who takes sannyas for false prestige, making a show of saintliness without actual advancement in Krishna consciousness, in Krishna kirtan, will soon be vanquished by the external energy of the Lord. Translation again. One who has not accepted the three internal disciplines of avoiding useless speech, avoiding useless activities, and controlling the life air can never be considered a sannyasi because of his carrying bamboo rods. So the significance of sannyas order of life is being referred to here.
No, there are birds. So many birds can.
Birds, huh? Okay, so who's making? There's only 4 of us here. Who's making the noise? Huh? Yes. So, sannyas order of life is the 4th and last of the ashramas in the context of the varnashrama dharma. So there are external symptoms, but more important are the internal symptoms of someone who is taking the order of sannyas. There are 2 types of, generally, main 2 types of sannyasis. Ekadandis and Tridandi. Tridandi sannyas, Vaishnavas are known as Tridandi sannyas because of the meaning that is mentioned here. The 3 rods, actually there are 4. That would be interesting to study, to research the whole history of how about dandas, because Tridandi sannyas for the Vaishnava sannyasis, as mentioned here, the 3 rods represent mind, word, and activities. And therefore, generally when sannyasis travel, well, in modern times it's difficult to carry the danda, but it's prohibited actually. You cannot take a danda on flight because it's made of wood and somehow they think it might burn. and the whole airplane will catch on fire. Maybe some other reason also. Maybe they think you might just take your stick and hit somebody. They've become quite strict. You cannot, in the early days, you could travel with a danda, but the the Tridandi sannyasis are meant to cultivate, as nicely mentioned here, this internal discipline of utilizing and surrendering fully our words, our mind, and our activities in the service of Krishna. Whereas the other sannyasis or who carry also danda, they are called ekadanda sannyasis, and that's referring, of course, to the Mayavadis, who are believing in that we are all one, so they have only one danda, and that difference is there. So sannyas order of life, sannyasis are meant to be the teachers actually of all of the varnas and ashramas. Prabhupada actually was, as we know, reluctant, was not thinking of taking sannyas. He didn't want to take sannyas, actually. Many opposite to what we find very often. We find that in young men sometimes who want to take sannyas. Very often, maybe for the wrong purpose, because by accepting sannyas, automatically, the Vedic culture, the sannyas order is a highly respected position, and it can be very it can be very dangerous if one is not, as mentioned here, discipline in these three activities. So the warning is being given that there's an expression, actually, maybe it is found in English also. The expression that is there in French is "L'habit ne fait pas le moine." L'habit means the dress doesn't make one a sannyasi, right? Or carrying a danda, or for that matter, just wearing tilak also. A Vaishnava is simply not by dress only. What is most important is the mentality that one is having, that one is developing, and of course, that mentality is explained and glorified by our Vaishnavacharyas. And the essence of that mentality is nicely expressed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as Sharanagati. What is the actual meaning of Sharanagati? Surrender, yeah. Surrendering. Fully surrendering to the to the mission of the Lord, fully surrendering to the orders of Guru, to the instructions that are there in the Shastra. Of course, as we also read from Bhagavad Gita, sannyas, the sannyas mentality is not only meant for sannyasis. Krishna speaks, you can find that, sannyas yoga. Sannyas Yoga. Yeah, you could probably find it more quickly than. There's one verse in the Bhagavad Gita on Sannyas Yoga, which means that all of us, everyone, especially those who are Vaishnavas, because the Vaishnavas are the ones who are fortunate to be introduced to that topmost level of yoga. So sannyas yoga means to fully absorb ourselves in in serving ultimately the Lord. Serving the Lord means also serving the Lord's mission. You can try to find it here, maybe. Might be more sannyas yoga. So this is a general, this should be taken also as a general instruction, although it is directed at sannyasis, but the same instruction, we should also understand it as being directed towards anyone who is taking up the spiritual life, that it is not simply by the externals that one is recognized as a devotee or a sannyasi, but as mentioned here, by the by the mentality.
I found, but I don't know if it is.
Which chapter?
9th chapter.
Can give me the book. Yeah, 9th,
9:28.
28, 9:28. Pasya. Yeah, I think it is. So chapter 9, which is the chapter entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text 28 reads as follows. Yeah, this is the one. Shubha Shubha Phalair Evam
Shubha Shubha Phalereva
Mokshase Karma Bandhanai
Mokshase Karma Bandhanai
Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma
Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma
Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi.
Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi.
Translation. In this way you will be freed from all reactions to good and evil deeds. And by this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Yes. So, yukta. So this section is dealing with the topic of both tapasya and yukta. Yukta vairagya. Yeah. So one time, actually in the early days, there was a bit of a dilemma because quite a few devotees in the early days entered householder life, but then they came to understand that actually there was a need for spreading Krishna consciousness, and there were many devotees who had already entered householder life, and then they wanted to take sannyas. And Prabhupada was sometimes agreeing and sometimes not agreeing. And sometimes he would reply, because you're engaged in devotional service, you're already sannyasi. He would refer to his householders actually because they were fully engaged in the preaching activities. So in other words, sannyas is not simply something external. Sannyas is a state of mind, a state of consciousness, and therefore ultimately, because sannyas means detachment, isn't it? To become detached, and everyone ultimately, regardless of which ashram one belongs to, needs to be to learn to be detached. Mm. Okay, text number 18. Bhiksham chaturshu varneshu
Diksha Chaturshu Varneshu
Vigaryam varjayam charet
Vigaryan Varjayam Share
Saptagaran sankiptam
Saptagarana Sankliptam
Tusyal labdhena tavata.
Tusyalabhe Tavata.
Translation and purport: rejecting those houses that are polluted and untouchable, one should approach without previous calculation 7 houses and be satisfied with that which is obtained there by begging. According to necessity, one may approach each of the 4 occupational orders of society. Purport: saintly persons in the renounced order of life may beg from strict followers of Vedic culture to obtain foodstuffs and other bodily necessities. According to Vedic injunction, a renounced saint should beg from a Brahmana community. But if there is danger of his starving, he may beg from Kshatriyas, and then Vaishyas, and even Shudras, if they are not sinful, as expressed here by the word Vigaryan. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that Sankiptan indicates that one should not approach certain houses calculating, in that place I can get first-class food. That house has a big reputation among beggars. Without discriminating, one should go to 7 houses and be satisfied with whatever may be obtained there. That's interesting. Means one should learn to be satisfied by what by what one obtains, basically to meet his basic necessities of life. So I don't know why the word 7 was chosen, but it indicates that there's, I don't know if they practice that in Vrindavan, those who are practicing Madhukari, yeah. But one should beg from one's personal maintenance only from houses where the inhabitants, being sincere followers of the Varnasrama culture, have earned their livelihood by honest means and are free from sinful activities. One may beg alms from such householders. One must not beg alms for one's personal maintenance, from those who oppose the Supreme Lord's devotional service. For such service is the whole purpose of Varnashrama culture. Those who oppose Vedic culture pass laws to make begging by saintly persons a criminal act. Thus, they insult and persecute saintly beggars, considering them to be ordinary vagrants. A lazy person begging to avoid work is certainly abominable, but a saintly person dedicated to the service of the Lord and practicing the discipline of begging to develop full dependence on the Lord's mercy should be given all facility in human society. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that there are three forms of collecting alms. Madhukara is a process of imitating the bee who collects a tiny amount of nectar from each flower. In this way, the saintly person accepts a very small amount from each person, avoiding social conflict. The process mentioned here is asanklipta, by which one indiscriminately approaches 7 houses, being satisfied with whatever may be obtained. Prak pranita is that process by which one establishes regular donors and collects one's maintenance from them. In this regard, Srila Vira Raghava Acharya has described the initial stage of sannyas called kutichak as follows. A man accepting the initial stage of sannyas arranges for his children or other relatives and well-wishers to build him a kutir. Here says kuti.
Actually, kuti is also.
Is also?
Yeah. We have this term kuti chaka.
Kuti?
Kuti chaka. Sannyasi order where they stay out in the outskirts of this same village.
Yeah, well, that is kutichak. Yeah. Kutichak, then bahudak, then parivrajak, and then paramahamsa. Yeah. So kutichak here, it is being described according to one of our acharyas here. Means that one is living not in his home. Close to the village, a sannyas in this first stage is building a kutir. Maybe it's kutichak is happening, where the relatives will bring that sannyasi cooked food, I think, once or twice a day, whatever. We can just read the description here. Okay. A man accepting the initial stage of sannyas arranges for his children and other relatives and well-wishers to build him a kutir or meditation cottage. Meditation cottage. And he gives up worldly affairs and sits within the cottage, trying to remain free from lust, anger, greed, illusion, and so on. According to the prescribed injunctions of regulated life, he accepts a tridanda, purifies himself with a water pot, shaves his head, leaving a shika or tuft, chants Gayatri mantra on the sacred thread, and wears saffron garments. Bathing regularly, cleansing, performing achamana, chanting japa, studying the Vedas, remaining celibate, and meditating on the Lord, he receives regular supplies of food from his children, friends and relatives. Accepting only the bare necessities of life, he remains fixed in his cottage up to the moment of liberation. So that is one level, or the initial level of sannyas. In other places in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada elaborates a bit more on the different types of sannyas. In our ISKCON society, he is alert.
Flash the warning, I think.
one should leave the populated areas and go to a reservoir of water in a secluded place. There, having taken a bath and washed one's hands thoroughly, one should distribute portions of the food to others who may request it. One should do this without speaking. Then, having thoroughly cleansed the remnants, one should eat everything on one's plate, leaving nothing for future consumption. Report. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that a saintly person should not argue or quarrel with materialistic persons who may request or demand food, or demand part of his foodstuffs. The word vibhajya indicates that one should give something to such persons to avoid disturbance, and then offering the remnants to Lord Vishnu, one should eat everything on one's plate without saving food for the future. The word bahi indicates that one should not eat in a public place, and vagyata indicates that one should eat silently, meditating upon the Lord's mercy. Yeah. Prabhupada would follow this by eating, generally eating alone. Devotees would bring him prasadam, and then they would leave. Well, they would continue to bring him hot chapatis or hot puris, whatever the case may be. We see pictures of Prabhupada sometimes. He would sit similar to the spirit here, like not in public. Just like we see people also, sometimes they will face the wall, and so that, yeah. Here's nicely explained also, one should eat silently. We don't follow that. Some devotees do. Because taking prasadam is meant to be a devotional act also. So Prabhupada would take a good amount of time for taking the prasadam. Okay, so these are different. I won't read the next one as a long purport. Keep that for tomorrow. Okay, we can close for now. Jai Canto, verse 17. Jai Canto.